Hey, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. I feel like it's been a minute since we last saw each other, but I'm happy to be back and I'm happy that you're here with me. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. I read Lenormand or Lenormand or Lenormand, however you want to call it. That is the divination system I use to look at issues of political and social significance. And we have a few to look at today. So please do like, share, subscribe. It costs nothing. It helps the channel to grow. And I really appreciate it. I also appreciate all the lovely emails that you send me. I've enjoyed meeting so many of you for whom I've read, and I really appreciate the support. Okay, so I think that I'm not, well, I'll save the international question for last. For now, I'd like to look at Hegseth again. We see that Pete Hegseth had another signal conversation about classified information. We know that his wife was on the call. We know that his brother was on the call. His personal lawyer was on the call. And he was discussing airstrikes in Yemen, etc. So we know that the Pentagon is none too thrilled with him. It must be awful to be him going to work because, I'm sure they don't sneer in his face, but I'm sure he's not warmly welcomed. And when they see him in the morning. But anyway, I would 47 is still carrying water for him in terms of being saying at least that he has confidence in him. I've looked at him before and I have seen him be fired. So I guess the question is, what does his trajectory look like at this point? Will he be fired? Will the pressure be so much that he either is fired or he fires himself? So I'm going to use I'll use the young man for him. I don't think he's particularly young, but he acts in irresponsible ways, the way sometimes young people whose brains are not all the way formed can tend to act. So we'll use the young man for Hegseth, and let's just see what's happening with him on the job front in terms of keeping or losing that job. Hope everybody had a good break. Um, I saw that the demonstrations were large, and I think that's terrific, and hope people keep it up. And if you celebrated Easter, I hope you had a good one. Okay, so let's look for Pete Hegseth. Remember, we're looking for the younger man just because of his headstrong and careless and arrogant nature. So what's going to happen with him? Okay, so we have the heart, we have the bear, which of course, as you know, is an iteration of 47. It's 47, the narcissist. Um, Hegseth, the book, and the ring. The narcissist loves him some Hegseth. Remember, he says that Hegseth looks like he's from Central Casting, and looks are everything to the narcissist in chief. But these two are interesting. Remember that the book is about things we don't know. And what we don't know is whether this bromance, this loyalty to Hegseth will stay intact. I don't think this is the bridge too far for 47, but I do think that Hegseth can't get out of his own way, and they'll find something else that he's done, and that may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So what I'm going to do is pull cards on Hegseth, the book, and then the ring, because the ring is about commitment. 47's made a commitment to him. That's my guy. That's my central casting guy. I think that he also is someone who, and again, entertainment purposes only, he's someone who knows how to be on camera, but I also think he's not the brightest bulb. And I think, therefore, he is someone who would be susceptible and certainly open to spouting whatever he was told to spout on camera. In other words, he is a willing idiot for whoever pulls the strings for 47. And we all have theories about the major player that is. I mean, one, it's Project 2025, but also Russia. So let's see what we get. Will that commitment that 47 has to Hegseth stay? And very, very clear cards. So I drew cards for Hegseth. We have the bouquet, the coffin, and crossroads. You know, Hegseth felt like a gift to 47. That's the bouquet. And Hegseth was rewarded for his loyalty and his central casting vibe by 47. That's what the bouquet is. But that ends, and he will have to go his way. He will have to leave. Now, the the book, remember, it's about things that are hidden, things that are not yet known, um, things that need to still to be uncovered. And the clarifiers are the garden, the house, and the ship. So this is what's not yet known, although we have the little heads up in the previous line. These are the people, and this is the White House. And he's already got a lot of issues with the people, as these demonstrations so far have made clear. 47. And again, he may have to go a different way from the way he's gone. The ship may have to sail without Hegseth on it. And then finally, remember, we have this card, and this is sort of the loyalty that 47 has had to him. But it decreases, then there will be some other problem, and Hegseth will become way more of a liability than an asset. I would argue that he already is, but point is, he'll be fired. That's the site. And also, I can mirror the very first card in the line. This is the love that 47 has for him. That is severed. So it's just a matter of time before Hegseth is shown the door. Okay. Speaking of poorly chosen administration members, let's look at dog killer Kristi Noem. Kristi was out at a restaurant for lunch with her family, or dinner or whatever, with her family. She had her children there, and apparently she's got grandchildren too, whatever. And she had her purse, as women will do with her. And in the purse was her ID badge. Remember that she is head of Homeland Security. So her ID badge to get into her offices. Her driver's license was in there. Her passport was in there. Why is she carrying her passport? Okay. And $3,000. Now, the $3,000, we'll let that pass because she's apparently the story is that because she had her family in town, the $3,000 was meant to pay for dinner and for gifts, Easter gifts. What I want to know is, don't you have a credit card for all that? But okay, anyway, $3,000. So anyway, she's at this restaurant and somebody stole her purse. Now, this is the head of Homeland Security. Do you mean to tell me the Secret Service aren't watching her at every moment? All I want to know is what's up with that stolen purse? I mean, eventually information about its whereabouts will surface. But who will do the surfacing? That's the question. So there she is with all of her everything, every kind of ID and everything, including her passport, and that $3,000 taken. I want to know what happened to the purse. So let's see. What do I want to? We'll use her. Now she's got grandchildren, so I'm sure she wouldn't like it, but I'm gonna use the older woman for her. Um, and I'm gonna charge that energy of that card with this theft, this purse theft. And I want to just see what happened. Okay, let's see what we get. Kristi Noem and the purloined purse. Okay, so we're going to use the older woman for her. Deep in the deck, but that doesn't mean anything. There she is. Okay, so this is Kristi, and we're looking at her lost purse. That's all I care about right now. But I'm not looking at anything else to do with her, but her lost purse. Well, I don't know that these cards necessarily tell me much of anything, so I'm going to have to pull clarifiers. We have the young man, the house, Kristi, Lily, and Stork. Now, I will say, Lily and Stork make me think that was it really lost? Like, is it in her house? Did, I don't know, was somebody supposed to be carrying it for her and they didn't bring it or something? Because this kind of looks like sad to say, but kind of all's well that ends well here. So I don't know. Let's look. Let's look at. I'm going to pull clarifiers on all these cards. Remember, we're looking at Kristi Noem's lost purse. Okay. So I'm going to pull. Whoops. Oh, those two just came out. So all right, all right, all right. All right. Hmm. All right. On the subject of whoever this is, I feel like this is an aide. Like and when I say aide, I mean it could be a Secret Service person or a body person or someone who's supposed to help her. And I think that they saw an opportunity and they saw an opportunity to separate her from her purse and clouds. I mean, this was not the smartest thing in the world to do. It was it just feels like they just saw it and they saw an opportunity and they grabbed it. Now, here we have the house, the ship, the letter, and the child. So here she is at home, but then here she is away from home. Could she have lost it in the car? Left it in the car, I mean. Could it have been left in the car and then taken? This is all her paperwork, all her stuff, and it diminishes her. I mean, in the eyes of everyone. Now, listen, we've all lost stuff. I mean, I did a video a few months ago here where I had lost my purse, and then I knew I had left it in the parking lot of a store. Imagine. So I called the store and I said, "Can you go look in the parking lot?" And they went in the parking lot, they found my purse. I go to the store, I pick up the purse, and I'm like, oh, this is great. My wallet was there, all my cards and they were there, but my phone wasn't there. I was like, "Ah." And so this kind of thing can happen. I mean, I left my purse after I returned the shopping cart. I left my purse in the shopping in the lot. Now I will tell you that I, the phone came back to me. And there's a card here that makes me think that her purse will come back to her. But for now, this is like, Jesus, Kristi, can't you be trusted even to keep an eye on your own personal purse? I mean, you're the head of Homeland Security, for God's sake. So it diminishes her in the eyes of everyone, as if she needs diminishing. But anyway, so here she is. And we have the mountain, the fox, and the tower. Uh, the mountain. I really don't think that she realizes that there are foxes in the hen house. This feels like it was someone who works for her. That's what I think. And she's completely unaware of this. This fox in the hen house. There's the hen house. Now, remember I said we had the Lily and the stork, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of good news for her. This was the card that came to me when I did a reading on my lost phone. And the reading, I forget the other cards, but you can go back and look for that video because it was a good one. The reading had this card, and I read it to say it will be returned. And I thought, come on, it's not going to be returned. What, come on. But this is the card in this case for like something boomeranging back, boomeranging back. So she breathes a sigh of relief because something boomerangs back. She gets the message about that from an aide or someone or a relative or someone that the thing has been found. So I do think it will be found. Now, we have the stork. The stork is positive change. Of course, it's positive that she gets it back, but what will they have done with it between the time that it was taken and the time she gets it back? That's the thing. That's the problem. And 47, the narcissist, entertainment purposes only, is going to say, wait a minute. Was I right about her? Like, should I have named her to this post? Because I don't know. I don't know. And this I don't know card, I can mirror with the first card. This is the person who took it. So somebody was definitely up to no good. I don't think it was a question of it having been forgotten. I think someone saw an opportunity and grabbed it. And they may have, they may be having second thoughts about it. Or they may be worried about, oh my God, what if I'm found out that I took this thing? What's going to happen? Because it feels like it was a very, very, as you can imagine, spur of the moment decision. So I actually think she will get it back, but I think she will have been tarnished, further tarnished in the eyes of 47. So I think she and Hegseth are walking on thin ice with 47, even if 47 does not publicly acknowledge that. Because remember, he's such a narcissist. When they screw up, it makes him look bad. I mean, why wouldn't it, right? He's the one who appointed them. But he takes it really personally. Like when he screws up, it that stupidity accrues to him. He doesn't like that. So he's still loyal, but less than he was to both of these people, Hegseth and Kristi Noem. Okay. Two more questions that I think I'd like to look at. The first has to do with the Federal Reserve. So the head of the Federal Reserve is a guy named Jerome Powell, J. Powell. And being head of the Federal Reserve is a big job. This is the person who sets the nation's monetary policy, right? Like including interest rates. And this is the issue now, right? He won't do what Trump wants him to do with interest rates to make the economy look better than it is. He won't do it. Uh, we know that 47 wants to fire him. So that's part of his job. He sets the monetary policy. He reports to Congress on how the economy is doing. He meets with the Treasury Secretary to discuss economic policy, and he's a key spokesman for the Federal Reserve to the public. He does press conferences. Finally, he is the U.S. representative in the international sphere to things like the International Monetary Fund and the G7. So it's a huge, very important job. It is an independent position, meaning that ostensibly 47 cannot fire him. He has a tenure that is meant to even, and by the way, 47 appointed him, you should know. His tenure is meant to be up in 2026. So technically, he's still got a year on his term. But 47 is making all kinds of noises and inquiries as to whether he can fire him or not. So there's that. The other thing is that, a lot of people are losing money and freaking out. And so people are wondering why no one in the banking industry is stepping to 47 in the way, for example, that my alma mater, Harvard, did, and saying, what are you doing? Leave Jay Powell alone. This is not a good look. This is not a good act. You're making yourself look like a monkey in front of the world. Why isn't Jamie Dimon saying that? Jamie Dimon is one of the country's premier bankers. He is the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase. By the way, he is someone who sold stock when 47 played those games about tariffs. Oh, he was going to have them. He wasn't going to have them. He was going to have them. He wasn't going to have them. And remember, a lot of people when they were down, they sold, meaning they made a lot of money. Put it that way. Now, I've said a lot of people across the aisles, both sides, made money from Trump's little back and forth, up and down tantrum. They made money. So did Jamie Dimon. And my big question always for politicians, for people in the banking industry, et cetera, is which will people choose? Cowardice or greed? Or greed and cowardice? Do they choose that over, I don't know, patriotism and doing the right thing? We saw Lisa Murkowski, senator from Alaska, say out loud. This was a meeting that she had in Alaska with her constituents, and she actually said, I am afraid. I mean, You know what? If I was an Alaskan, I say, well, move out the way because I'm not afraid to take this guy on. You're afraid, and we're paying your salary, Lisa? Uh, is Jamie Dimon afraid? Is the potential for loss of money such a fear of his that he will not step to 47 and say, leave the head of the Federal Reserve away, even though saying nothing will not protect Jamie and his millions, billions. So here's what I want to look at. First, let's look at Jerome Powell, and I would like to know how his job security is. So we will use the older man and look at Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Federal Reserve and is being, taunted and, um, called names by our infant in chief. It's really ugly. All right, let's see what the deal is with his keeping his job. He has said, uh, Jay Powell has said, the president can't fire me. But we know this president can't ostensibly do a lot of things that he has been able to do because people have rolled over and let him do them. Is this going to be one of those things? So we're looking at Jay Powell's job security. Okay. Okay, so I'm using the older man, and this will stand for Jay Powell. Here he is. Okay, we will pull clarifiers. We've got the moon, the book. Here's Jerome Powell, star, and the young man card again popped up. So I'll say a couple of words and then I'll pull some clarifiers. This is his career, and the jury's out as to whether or not 47 can fire him. I mean, he can't, but it doesn't mean he won't anyway, is the point. Jury's out with that book card. Um, Now we have the star and we have the young man. I like the young man here. This is the future, and this is Jerome Powell saying, don't come for me. What are you doing? So Jerome Powell has kept his powder dry, has not risen to or descended to any kind of ad hominem attack in kind. And I like his courage. So let's see what I get when I pull clarifiers. So this moon card, remember, this is his career. Clarifiers are the coffin, the birds, and the ring. Uh, I'm going to say that, you know, he is in danger, right? A coffin is an ending. It's a coffin. I know it also means transformation, but I don't know that that means this here. Uh, this is the potential for his career as the head of the Fed to end. And there are lots of people in the banking industry and the economics world talking about this. You know, I think that they want him to stay there. They want him to stay there. He's a good Fed chairman, but we know that 47 wants him gone. So let's see what's next. Because if we look at this in a chronological way, that's the farthest out. So now we're moving closer to what's coming in. So the second card was the book. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with his career. We have clouds, we have stork, and we have ship. I think that he is, you know, in danger, right? There's a lot of doubts around it, but I actually think he'll be fine. I think he will weather this storm and continue in his post. I think there would be real problems if Trump tried to get rid of him because his term is not up till 26. And Trump's been being encouraged quietly, I think, to leave him alone. But again, well, we'll get to Jamie Dimon in a minute, the head of Chase. So this is Jay Powell, again, head of the Fed, and it's in the center. And the clarifiers are the lily, the garden, and the fish. He really is trying, for the sake of people, to keep our money steady. Not an easy thing to do with 47 and his tariff antics, but he's trying to keep us on a steady, mature, respectable course for the sake of the public and public money. Okay, so now what's coming in? We have the star, and we have the woman, the tower, and the letter. You know, Janet Yellen is also a financial person from previous administrations, and she's got a lot of sway as well. She may come out and say, leave him alone. I think there will be people who come out and maybe even write some sort of letter to the effect that he needs to remain independent, maybe spearheaded by Janet Yellen. He needs to be maintain independence and be able to do his work. Again, I feel like this is Jerome Powell in all of his strength and power and his resolve to not bend to 47. And we have clover, house, tree. I think that 47's anger with him could be short-lived, and I think Powell will stand the test of time. I don't think he'll be fired. I can mirror this card, which is the card for, you know, the Negro spiritual, we shall not be moved, just like a tree standing by the water, we shall not be moved. I think Powell will stay. I think he will stay. We need him to stay. Okay, so there's that. I want to look also at Jamie Dimon. Remember that Jamie Dimon is head of JP Morgan Chase. He is one of the premier bankers in the country. He has a vested interest in the market not being tanked, so that he doesn't have to jump out a window, entertainment purposes only, a la 1929. So I would like to know whether he will bring any influence to bear on 47 and get him to leave Jay Powell alone. So let's look at Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase, who has been silent thus far. Will he, at the very least, out of long-term self-interest, speak up? I think he hasn't spoken up out of what he considers to be short-term self-interest. He's afraid of 47 some kind of way blackballing him, which I don't think could happen. But anyway, will he will he step up and say, stop harassing the head of the Fed? Because it's not a good look. So we'll use the older man, but this time it stands for uh, Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase. Okay. Will Jamie Dimon step up? All right, we have the stork. So I like that positive change. The mountain, Jamie Dimon, the scythe, and crossroads. I'd prefer that if it had been crossroads and scythe, but it's scythe and crossroads. And those are the cards I'm going to pull clarifiers on before I say more. Okay. So the scythe is the card for decisions. And that's what I'm asking, right? Is he going to make a decision to get 47 to stop? We have the ship, we have the anchor, and we have the book. Right now, and for the foreseeable future, he's not going to make a decision. He knows what he should do, but then he gets stuck. And he's like, I don't know which is the devil and which is the deep blue sea. If I say something now, 47 will be mad at me. If I don't say something now, the country's economy could be tanked, and my own fortune could be destroyed. So he really doesn't know what to do. Ships sail, that's great, but then when they're at anchor, they're stopped. So he really is conflicted. He can't decide which he wants to be, um, which is his master, cowardice or greed. We don't know. He doesn't know. Crossroads. This is the card for choices. So we have letter, dog, and birds. Here's the thing. I think that he won't by himself do anything. But I think that if other bankers step forward and they say, listen, let's do what those colleges have now done, which, is write some sort of class action letter and say, listen, 47, if you come for one, you come for all. And if you come for one, hmm, you're going to regret it because we will bring our power to bear on you. I think that Jamie Dimon needs to be shored up by other bankers, by his friends, and that they need to get their heads together and say, if we don't act to shut this down, we all lose. At which point, Jamie Dimon will find his courage, because of course you find your courage when you are, you know, uh, making your stand with other people as opposed to doing it, Joan of Arc style all by yourself. Although Joan of Arc did have an army, but anyway. So I think for now he is really conflicted, but I think in time, and I don't think it'll take too long, I think all of the bankers will unify and gang up on 47 and sort of tell him, snap out of it. Leave Jerome Powell alone. Leave the Fed alone. Shut the up. And bad enough what you're doing with tariffs. So stop. But Jamie Dimon by himself won't do it. All right, finally, as I'm sure you can imagine, I wanted to give a moment to the passing of the Pope. Pope Francis, who uh, greeted the crowd on Easter Sunday, managed to dress down J.D. Vance, and then on Easter Monday decided it was time to leave. Um, you know, the church is a pretty stolid, intransigent institution, of course. But given the parameters of that, he was a good and a great pope, a good and a great man. Uh, so I think two things. He is early in his journey back to source, but there's no harm in asking if he has anything that he'd like me to say to all of us. So um, we are calling on Pope Francis to wish him well in his journey home. Um, and we are asking if he has any words. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I respect that, but maybe he does. I'll just pull a 5 card. And of course, we will let him choose all the cards because he is with spirit now. People ask me if I do mediumship. This is the way that I do it, would be through the cards, and I've done it many times for clients. Okay, so of course he sends love. Um, he is changed. He is no longer in his physical form, so he is now pure spirit. He's transformed. Um, which is to say, though, that he still lives, right? It's the tree, he still lives. In terms of the institution of the church, he has concerns. There are people in the church, prelates, who would like to take the church in a direction much different from from the path that Francis had it on. He's concerned about that. Um, and so I think that that's the message. Um, I love everyone. I love you all. I am transformed. I am pure spirit. My life, like your life, is eternal, as he would say, through Christ, the resurrected one. He intentionally waited to die until Easter Monday. That was a conscious choice. And then here, this is the church, and he's worried for all of the machinations that will be conducted during the conclave to decide the next pope. People would like to take the church back to its earliest days, its most repressive days, pre-Vatican II under Pope John the 23rd. And he is concerned about that. So that's the message. And again, servant, well done. He's returned to source. Um, I think, sorry, just turning that thing off. I think, well, why not? I think I am going to look at that. I'm going to look at the state of the church. Uh, and I mean, look to see if I can see what kind of pope um, they'll select. Now, there's word on the street that it will be a black man, which would probably be an African. And the African church is, in case you don't know, the African Catholic Church can be pretty, we'll use the nice word, conservative. So would they be killing two birds with one stone? Look, we got a black one. As we bomb the church back to um, its earliest, not its earliest, but its most repressive time. Um, I don't know. So we're going to use the tower, and the tower will stand for the church. And I'm just going to get a trajectory. We have to have the funeral and all of that, and then the conclave, and that can last however long it lasts. If you haven't seen the movie Conclave, it's really good. Um, you should watch it. Um, will there be a woman pope? No. Not this time around, I don't think. No. I think the urge is to go more repressive, go more conservative. Yeah. So, but let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure they're very shuffled. And I never bridge shuffle, which is to say, I never like do that to my cards because it doesn't feel serious. Okay, so what will happen with the church? We saw in Francis's message to us that he has concerns about what kind of backroom dealings will be done to make the church a more repressive place and to make the papacy more conservative. But let's see. So we're looking for the tower that will stand for the church. Okay, so this is our card for the church. Wow, now you saw me shuffle. Look up, I came out. I'm going to pull some clarifiers. Pretty interesting. So we have the woman. Who knew? We have the fox. We have the tower, the sun, and Clover. As you'll see in the movie Conclave, I don't want to give anything away, but there are women in the Vatican. They have ostensibly subservient positions, right? I mean, on paper, they are in subservient positions. But sometimes when you are in those kinds of positions, in those kinds of places of power, you seem invisible, which gives you, in some ways, superpowers that invisibility confers, right? Which means that you can have eyes and ears everywhere, and no one will think twice about your presence because you're like a non-entity. But I think that women um, in the Vatican, the nuns who work there, are no dummies and are players in some way, like power brokers in some way, believe it or not. They are aware, as Francis was aware, and Francis even spoke about this during his lifetime, of course, about um, the the fact that the Vatican can be a treacherous place with people who have their own agendas and men who are power hungry, and with clerics who are, again, repressive and didn't like his reforms. So here we go. I mean, there it is, church. Now, this is interesting. The sun, love the sun, love Clover, right? Clover is lucky. But I think that, here's what I think. Francis was in ill health for some considerable time, if you recall. And I think that these conversations, these sort of um, informal conversations among cliques of prelates have already taken place. And I think that the next pope um, may already have been decided on, that deals have been done to assure the election of the next pope. So here we have the women of the church, the women of the Vatican, who say, here we go again, back into the same old, same old, same old. And they know that the prelates, the cardinals who decide, will pick a lane, and the lane will not be good for women. And the women are concerned about that, worried about that, fearful of that. Here are all the foxes in the hen houses, all of the clergy who have, um, you know, made sure that their own names are put in nomination, or whoever their candidate is in contention, strong contention. Um, Clarifiers are the scales, the house, and the birds. The birds make clear there have been lots of side conversations around this way before Francis died, taking place in the Vatican. Uh, and I'm going to say that I don't love this card here. He's a wheeler and a dealer. And this card, look, we've got money on the one side, we've got daisies on the other. So they're not going to pick, I don't know, the holiest guy, the guy closest to Peter, St. Peter, who the Pope is meant to be a descendant of, right? Spiritual descendant of. Um, Money will play a part here. So, for example, I can see American prelates being promised church money for not making a stink should the majority of cardinals want to go a more conservative route. I don't know. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing here. Oops, dropped a card. Okay. Here we have the church itself. We have the tower. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, that's the church, tower, the mountain, the letter, and the garden. As always, whenever there's a conclave, right, the church kind of closes its doors, closes its windows. The cardinals are sealed in until they make a decision, and all of this is blocked from the public. What is blocked from the public? Everything that goes into the voting. So, in other words, they take several votes a day, and then, and these are paper ballots, and you may or may not know, but every time a vote is taken, the votes are burned, the ballots are burned. If they have not managed to agree on a pope, the smoke in the chimney that comes out of the chimney that all the people see is black. When they have finally decided on a pope, the ballots are burned and the smoke that the people see is white. But all of the dialogue and the backstage, backroom wheeling and dealing, the public are not privy to that. The church blocks that from the public. All we know are whether the smoke from the burned ballots is white or black. That's what we will know. Okay. Fourth card is the sun. Now, speaking of things we don't know or things that are blocked from us, etc., this is, this is clarity. This is light shining. So we have the sun, but the clarifiers are the coffin, the young man, and the dog. Hmm. The sun and the coffin, I don't know. I think I'd rather have seen the coffin and then the sun. But, daylight, we will not, as I said in the previous line, the public is not meant to be privy to everything that goes on in the conclave. So here they are closed up, in their little tomb of a room, um, casting their ballots. I think they will pick someone young. I mean, when I say young, I don't mean like young, young. Because in order to rise to the level of cardinal, you have to have put in your years. So, they're not going to be like old, old, old. They're just going to be like regular old, middle-aged old, because this is someone they want to keep in place for a long, long time. And someone who, on the surface anyway, appears um, benevolent. I mean, you want a pope to appear benevolent, right? I think that because they've been pondering this decision for a considerable time, well before the death of Francis, which only just happened this morning, um, they will come up with their choice quickly. But look, the clarifiers are the snake, the rider, and the bouquet. I think they will try to have people think this is a great choice. So for example, it could be a black pope. Look what we did. We got a black one, civil rights, kumbaya, and all that. But what, from where? Like, I don't know, Uganda? I mean, somewhere where the religion is really conservative and oppressive. So, is it a snake or is it a bouquet? Is it a snake slithering through a bouquet, hidden in a bouquet, dressed up like a bouquet? But that said, I think they will select someone quickly. Uh, and then what were the cards? Cards were like this. I can mirror this card with this card. I don't know. Will it be a candidate who people think is um, positive towards women? I don't. Maybe in their talk, but not in their actions. I'm going to pull the postscript, which is the final three-card word on this. So I'm just going to pull three cards. I haven't turned them over yet. So you'll see them as I see them. The anchor, the young woman, and stars. Yeah, they will pick someone who will keep women in their place in the future. So this will be no feminist pope. God knows there will be no woman pope. But I feel like women will um, feel this as repressive. It's in line with the zeitgeist, right, in terms of everything else that's happened in the world. So that should not be a surprise to anyone. Um, yeah. So look for a more conservative pope, uh, one who dresses in sheep's clothing, but is conservative and will bring the church back from the place where Francis tried to take it. Francis knows this. That's why we had that box card in the message that he sent. Okay, you all, that's it for today. I will see you again really soon. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Take care.